What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. Today, we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi, Chapter 8. But first, I want to talk about my last video, Chapters 4 through 7. I did make a little mistake. I talked about Poe being the one that was wanting to know about whether or not he had broken the record. In the book, it refers to BB-8 talking with Black One, which is the call sign for Poe. And so I thought this was Poe that he was having a conversation with, but actually BB-8 was talking to the actual X-Wing. And so it was the actual X-Wing that was wanting to know about the speeds, and that's just stupid to begin with. As I said before, I mean, why are you even writing this into the story? It's just the dumbest thing ever. But I do need to take back what I said about it being about Poe, because it was not about Poe. Poe did not say this. It was his X-Wing. The stupidity of the writing confused me, but I want to still clarify that. They deserve hate for everything else I brought up, but when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. I misread that, and they did not say that about Poe. So I wanted to clarify that, clear that up before going forward, and now moving into what's the reasons why Kylo did not kill Leia in this scene, and also give a little bit of talk about how Leia was able to pull off the Mary Poppins, or what was going on in her head. Now, as I get into this, I actually, kind of like a little bit of this, looking into the characters in the past, giving us some backstory, which they don't like to give because they want to be able to make a prequel later. But I did like what they went into. The problem is it's all in the novel. You didn't show anything. There's this discussion of show not tell. And Ryan does two things. He either just shows, and there's nothing that you can pick up on. There's nothing to tell the story in what you're showing, or he tells everything. he just tells it all, and he can't find this happy medium that great directors and great storytellers find. So in this, it's Kylo's flying, and there's kind of a connection between the two of them. And first it's with Leia, and Leia senses Kylo. She senses this big, just kind of black darkness over, full of rage and need, as she says it. And she starts to remember back as she feels the presence of Kylo that she hasn't felt in a very long time. And she remembers back to the young Kylo that was still a boy and was happy and, kind of joyful. And the boy that would just run around and constantly followed his father everywhere, wanted to be just like his father, and was constantly carrying around the dice that obviously he had at the end. And he was saying that I'm going to be the best pilot in the galaxy. And she's kind of remembering that. And then as that begins to happen, Kylo is remembering, obviously a little bit later on in life, of when he was kind of becoming an angsty teen, which he seems to still kind of be. But he was kind of starting to get in this kind of anger. And he was having these outbursts, and it was starting to really make Han and Leia scared, and they didn't know how to deal with this. And obviously, knowing who her father was, I'm sure there was a lot of other worries, but he remembers hearing their arguments and fights in the other room about how to deal with him. And he said he felt like they didn't even talk or refer to him as if they were like he was their kid. And then he got sent off to go be with Luke, and he felt betrayed by that, and that was a huge mistake. And he ended up leaving, and he says he killed that Ben Solo, and that Ben Solo was weak. And so it's kind of an interesting play as she's remembering this positive side, he's remembering this negative side, and then also the understanding of how Leia and Han would be in that situation, and then how an angsty, angry boy would be feeling that he's kind of being betrayed because he doesn't fully understand what's going on in the conversation over there, and he just feels that they're talking about them, and he's young, and so he can't express his emotions, and perfectly, and so he's left in this bad situation. And that's interesting. Unfortunately, this was never there was no way to put this in the movie. This part, there was no way to really put in the movie. You could do some flashback visuals, and that could have been interesting. I mean, you had some shots of Vader, kind of thinking back to Padme and stuff. I mean, you could have done some of that stuff, and that would have been really interesting. I mean, obviously we saw the vision with Rey going back, and we saw Rey as a young child, so it could have been done. So I take that back. It could have been done. It would have been very interesting to see how it was done. But, and they also showed some stuff in Rogue One. But anyways, you get the point. It could have been done. But what I really think they could have done is from this further, as they both begin to kind of sense each other. Kylo senses that his mother is worried. And he kind of says, like, it's too late. You should be worried, though, which is just a terrible line. Like, she's worried, and he's like, it's too late, but you should be worried. It's almost up there with explosions happening behind you, and you say, no, I'm rebel scum. Don't know where that could be from. But in this, he's flying, and they're having this kind of connection. And he's wanting to kill her, and he's ready to kill her. He senses that she's worried. He thinks it's about the resistance. But as he begins to get closer, he realizes that she doesn't have any fear. And that her worry is actually for him. And that she just longs for him to be back. And that's why he ultimately can't shoot. And I think this is really interesting and actually good storytelling. Here's the problem: is nothing was done with it. This isn't a novel. This is what I'm talking about, showing and not telling. We saw it. You didn't tell anything. But you didn't tell anything. Like, we don't pick all of this up. You can say, oh, I picked this up, but you're just creating this in headcanon. Like, there wasn't nothing given away with the portrayal and the acting that really, I mean, you understand that Kylo for some reason didn't do it. But it doesn't tell enough for the audience to really piece together how important this is. And when you add to the fact that you didn't tell us, and then later there's nothing there, it doesn't matter. Nothing is affected in the future from this. Kylo, immediately upon having power, there's nothing about him wants to go back to the light side. He only wants to stay on the dark side. That's it. Not even giving it a thought to go to the light side. Rey says she senses stuff, but Kylo, nothing. He kills Snoke, and then he just wants power. He doesn't even give it a second thought that maybe Rey's right, maybe I should join him. And my mom's over there, and I know she cares about me now. So now I've got Rey. I'm wanting to feel cared for. Rey seems to care for me, and my mother's wanting me back. Maybe I should consider this. But no, he doesn't. And then he immediately says, let's fire and destroy all of the ships. Let's destroy the resistance. Let's move past her. Well, wait a minute. There was just a connection that happened earlier. Why couldn't you set it up where he's flying, and then they have like a Luke and Leia moment from Empire Strikes Back where they're actually talking, so you actually hear what's going on. Where she kind of says, Kylo, and he's like, it's too late, mother. It's too late. You're going to die along with the resistance. You've always loved the resistance more than me. And then she just kind of has this kind of pause in this silence, and you see him ready to hit it. And she's just like, I'm sorry. I failed you. I should have showed you how much I loved you. Or something. Or just an I'm sorry. And then that's when you see the reaction by Kylo, and he lets up. And then boom, the explosion happens. How much more emotional does that end up being when they're having this conversation and she sees it and you see her reaction, and she says sorry, and that's why he can't fire the weapon. And then that leads to why he decides to kill Snoke, because he knows he could sense how much pain she had from the loss of Han. And he even sensed it himself. And then he begins to realize, like, wait, no, they're my parents and they loved me. And she still loves me and she wants me back, but Snoke's just maybe wanting to use me. I killed Han and he still wasn't happy with it. And that leads to him going to kill Snoke. That's the kind of catalyst to why he decides, I have to figure out a way to kill Snoke. But we don't get any of this story. We don't get any of these kind of finer details that kind of flesh out and explain why all these things happen. Now, this may be what's said in the novel. Someone commented in the last video and was like, yeah, well, you said this, but later on this is fine. I'm literally reacting to what I read after I read it. So I'm going with my knowledge of what's in the movie in my knowledge, up to whatever chapter I'm discussing at this point. If it comes back and something I've said is fixed, I will say, hey, they tried to answer it or solve the issue in the novel. Just like when I made a mistake, I claimed that I made a mistake. I brought it up. I will deal with it. But I'm discussing with what I know now. And what I know now is they didn't do anything with the story. And even if it's done in the novel, they didn't do it in the book, in the movie. And that's what really matters. And that's what's kind of frustrating is there's something here. A lot of what they did, there's not much here. But there was something here. There could have been something done with this. They could have done something interesting. They could have made it more emotional. They should have let Leia die in that scene, because that would make it even more emotional. That leads to Kylo having some real struggles. But yet again, there's no struggles. You have a scene and you want to have this emotional moment, but there's nothing for it. And that's what it is. It's an empty shell that Rians has dressed up to try to make it look like it matters or it means something or it's pretty. Nothing happens here. There's no effect on Kylo. It doesn't change that he tries to kill her later. It doesn't change that he wants to destroy the resistance. It doesn't lead him further to the light. It doesn't push him completely to the dark. Like, there's nothing that happens in this. This is just emotion and shock for emotion and shock value. Like, there's nothing to it. It's the same thing I did in my video where I did The Last Jedi as a masterpiece. And I just mocked it and showed how just insignificant it is. And if you break it down to how this movie's made, and there's a lot of just stuff happening, but there's nothing to it. There's nothing deeper to it. You could maybe even argue what I did had a deeper meaning because I was parroting what they did, and it actually had some meaning to it further than what happens here. It's a letdown, really, that there was some sense of potential even in their own minds, not just the potential after what was open for so many possibilities of stories in The Force Awakens. But I mentioned that I would finally cover one. Kylo kind of talks about that he wishes he could have deflected or held up the missile in space and not allowed to hit it, but he was shocked by it happening, which doesn't quite, whatever. He wanted to do that, but then again it just dies off. Nothing happens further in the movie because of it. He's still trying to destroy them all the way up to the very end of the movie. So why are you saying this? What does this matter? What's the point in all this? There is no point. But so Leia's floating out, and then even interestingly, as while she's floating out, she's just basically ready to give up. She's just, it would just be better if she gave up in her mind for a little bit. And then it's seeing the beacon for Rey that causes her to then decide, no, I need to keep fighting. Which is like, yeah, so Rey, so that's why we need to keep fighting. But so then she sees the beacon and she grabs onto it, and that's what tells her she can't give up. And she tries to reach out with the Force like Luke has taught her. And then she says it was almost like a ladder that she was, which would have been funnier visually, at least, if she was doing this instead of just stupid Mary Poppins crap. But so that was this, is that she just reached out and it was like a ladder. The Force was creating a ladder, and even though people were dying around her, the Force still had life in it around, and she was able to reach out to it and slowly pull herself back in. So anyways, that's the Mary Poppins thing. But more importantly, the interest of the Kylo and Leia stuff. I look forward to hearing some of your thoughts down below. Maybe some other ideas of how it could have been done and done well. I hear a lot of people that say don't write the story for them. I mean, I'm not writing the story for them. It's all of us that are basically on my channel, for the most part, don't really like it. And even if some people that do come and look at my videos that did like The Last Jedi, maybe they can at least look in the comments or in my videos and see, hey, it could have been done better. We're not just, angry fanboys that hate women and, different races. But we actually have a reason. Like, there are better things you could have done very clearly in this. So, yeah, I want to discuss how it could be done better. It's a cathartic experience to try to rant out and then express how it could have been done better. And I enjoy that. So I look forward to discussing all of that with y'all down below. I'll post the links to the rest of the videos that I've done so far if you haven't seen that, and something else right here, as well as a link to my TeePublic page down below. As always, thank you very much for watching, and never forget, you Nerf herders, I love you.